Hi everybody, Andrew Cuneo here. Today I'm going to be going over an Explorer deck I've been working on. I've just started getting into the format, and this is one of the first decks I've constructed that I really liked. It's a red-black vampires deck. Now, there's a couple of interesting things about this deck. If you remember this card, Sorin, Imperious, Bloodlord, when it was legal in Standard, it was kind of the backbone of making a somewhat competitive vampire deck. The one thing that deck was really lacking was that you just wound up having to play some pretty bad vampires in your deck because there just weren't enough good ones to fill out your deck. So it used to be the case that this card, Champion of Dusk, was the 5-drop people would be putting into play. And there weren't particularly good 4-drops. But since Sorin has come and gone from Standard, we've seen a bunch of new really strong vampires. So I've got Evelyn, which if you watch the most recent set championship, this showed up in the Grixis Vampires deck and was very strong there. It's a very, very strong payoff for being a tribal vampire deck. It's a great top end to have. We've got Anje, the Maid of Dishonor. This one it's situationally great. Like, if you're playing kind of a mid-range fair battle, Anje is really, really powerful. If you're playing against an aggressive deck where your life total is very important, Ange is very powerful. If you're playing against like a combo deck or a control deck, this one's not going to be great. 2 copies of Henrika. This is just kind of a pet card of mine. I've always really liked Henrika a lot. And if you can put it into play with Sorin, I think that's pretty strong too. Then we've got 4 copies of Fable and the Mirror Breaker. The more I played with this card, the more I've become convinced it's just an incredibly good card. So that's the only like non-vampire synergy kind of card that's going on. But we've got a bunch of pretty good cards to copy in Bloodtithe Harvester and Bloodthirsty Adversary, both excellent vampires. A couple of Voldaren Epicures. This is really just, I think, the second best 1-drop vampire. We'll get to the best one in a second. Not 4 of this, because it's not a strong card. It's not a terrible card either, though. Then we've got the really strong vampire that I think is the only holdover from when Sorin was legal and Standard. Knight of the Even Legion is a really great 1-drop. It's a vampire. So it's perfectly at home here. And then to round out the deck, we've got some spells. We've got Kolaghan's Command, which is a great spell, especially with Bloodthirsty Adversary. That's a really powerful synergy where you can, cast it to get your Bloodthirsty Adversary back from your graveyard. Then you cast the Bloodthirsty Adversary and you recast the Kolaghan's Command, so they kind of chain like that. 4 Thoughtseizes is obviously just a great card. 2 Fatal Pushes, another great removal spell. And then looking at the lands, it's a bit of a mix. We've got Blood Crypt, the Pathway, Haunted Ridge. And then I do not have any Dragonskull Summits in my deck because I don't think that there's enough actual Swamps and Mountains in the deck to make Dragonskull Summit a particularly good card. Instead, there's a Sokenzan, a Takenuma, a Hive, a Den of the Bugbear. 1 Canyon Slough, this is just the cycling Swamp Mountain. A couple Castle Locthwains. 1 Voldaren Estate. I'm not 100% sure on like what are the best value lands to play, so this is kind of just a mix. Over time, it might become clear that some are better than others, and adjustments would be made. Looking at the sideboard, more Fatal Pushes, some Go Blanks. I think that graveyard decks could be a pretty important thing in Explorer. More Kolaghan's Commands. I think this is a really strong card to have 4 of. 2 Ray of Enfeeblements. This is just kind of an acknowledgement that Greasefang, getting vehicles out of the graveyard, is a really powerful strategy. 1 Ob Nixilis. I like having one of these as just kind of a change of pace way to, put another threat into play against a control deck. 1 Chandra. This is, removal / a good card against a control deck. Some Immerstorm Predators. This would be in matchups where you want like a different high-end vampire. 3rd Evelyn and a Meathook Massacre. Sideboard, like a lot of the decks I showcase, I would not say that the sideboard is like 100% ready to take to a tournament today, but it gives you a lot of good options, and as you start diving into the deck, you can learn which cards are particularly useful and which ones you aren't using a lot, and make adjustments from there. So with that, let's jump into some games. On the play, excellent. Don't have a great vampire for these Sorins, but I might just crack my blood to try to vampire to put into play on turn 3. So this is some sort of like blue flyers deck. I think I'm actually just going to play this and kind of go for a more of a beatdown plan. It's important to note that the middle ability on the Sorin is going to allow me to turn any vampires I have into play into lightning helixes, which I think is going to be pretty powerful here. Seems like the opponent, it's a decent chance they're going to have a counter here, but I'm just going to play into it. Try to clear the way for my second Sorin. I'm going to try to bait a counter this time with the Knight of the Ebon Legion. Let's see. Okay. Guess I'm just going to pass now. Which this does allow them to use the Ascendant Spirit. Or play a Rattle Chains, as it turns out. Give me more of the blood. That does anything. See if we can convert this Blood Crypt into a 1-mana spell I would cast. That was a failure. I might wind up getting out-tempoed here. Ascendant Spirit does get pretty big. 5/5 flying.
I have not survived millennia to stand down now.
I'm worried that they might have another Rattle Chains. If I'd sacked my Epicure to throw it at the Phantom, that would have been a disaster if they had had Rattle Chains. I maybe should have put a counter on this Knight of the Ebon Legion. That might have been the way to go. Instead, I'm just gonna throw this Epicure then to the life swing.
Life to save many.
Which then triggers the Knight of the Ebon Legion. That's nice. Okay, they did have Rattle Chains, so it's a good thing I didn't go for the other play. Seems like they're pretty priced into... They have to attack the Sorin here. So they're not going to be able to effectively race me. They're going to have to actually respect my ground creatures. How big does this thing become? So it's a 4/4 right now. They can make it You do a 6/6 +1/+1 from the Supreme Phantom, and you can actually just keep using this ability. We have another Rattle Chain, so that'd be kind of a disaster.
My final demise.
They're going to chump the Knight of the Eden Legion. Okay. Probably means Anje's going to be resolving. And I don't see how they're getting out of that. Nice. Alright, so I want more cheap removal, for sure. From the Fatal Push. This is not a great matchup for Anje. Let's cut that and let's play Chandra. I could try the Meat Hook Massacre. It's a little bit expensive and lines up really badly against Supreme Phantom, so I think I'm not going to do that. Is there any chance I want these Immerstorm Predators? Probably not. Alright. No 2-drop, but we've got a 1-drop into a very good 3-drop. I'll take it. Would be nice to have a little bit of removal. Like, probably my spells are going to get countered, but I think I'd prefer to just walk into their counters rather than trying to sink mana into the Knight of the Eden Legion. And here it actually resolved. I'm very surprised by that. I think I'd rather cast 2 creatures. I'm going to take a point because I discarded probably the wrong land. I probably should have foreseen that this was not going to be a game that really came down to making blood tokens with the estate. Slip out back, okay.
I'm the best fire starter there is.
They have another thing. Wow, they've really slipped out back. Slipped all the way out
Don't
back.
you hate that burnt hair smell?
No, I can't attack. I think I'm losing now. Yeah, I'm just dead. It's possible I want Ray of Enfeeblement just to have another cheap spell. I think no. Maybe I want a Kolaghan's Command? Or some of these Evelyns. Doesn't seem like the game's gonna get into a really grindy kind of situation. Yeah, you can spend your mana on the second turn if you want to do it. It's not a good exchange for the opponent. I mean, maybe that was the best thing they could do with their turn, but if it is, they're in rough shape. I kind of messed up not playing this pre-combat. I'm missing out on a trigger, although if they have something that makes it cost 1 more, now I am able to pay. I don't know what that would be, though. I don't think they have Jawara Direct Disruption in their deck. Actually, they have Lofty Denial. It worked out. Nice. That's probably about the end of the game. The thing about these mono blue kind of tempo decks is they really do not play from behind at all. They've missed a land drop. Their second and third turn, I mean, they really didn't do anything that was of consequence. Round 2. And is obviously lacking in the cheap creatures department. I guess this is one of those spots where I'm happy to get Thoughtseize. Like, if we both trade Thoughtseizes, I think it actually winds up better for me. I'm going to take the Synthesizer, meaning they're going to get the Anvil and the Cat, but they don't even have red mana. Let's see if we can cycle into something that does something. I'm not going to use my Fatal Push on the Cat here, just because I spend my mana more efficiently on the Canyon Slough, but we'll maybe Fatal Push the Cat. Or I'll just put this thing into play and just let it plus for a while.
Blood was my domain, and it will be named.
I'll probably wind up just having to attack it. Saving the damage. Alright, this is a little bit concerning. This is too many lands. Oh no. Drew a second color of mana. That's not good. shouldn't have much of a play, at least. Alright, I'll take 5 to draw with Castle Locthwain, and we're going to hope to find some vampires to start getting some life back. I'm just going to Fatal Push the cat this turn. Put the Fatal Push in the yard so that I'll have the option of getting it back with the Bloodthirsty Adversary the next turn. Guess I'm gonna Thoughtseize them and then kill the Mayhem Devil. The Fatal Push can't kill them, the Mayhem Devil. Or that's what I would do. I'm gonna kill the Mayhem Devil with the middle building on Sorin. A good Thoughtseize. Do get a Mayhem Devil trigger here, but so far they've mostly just been dealing all of their damage to the Sorin. Needed them to not draw a good card that turn. That was a good card. Well, I've just drawn way too many lands. I need to draw Kolaghan's Command. If I drew Kolaghan's Command, I think I would be right back in it. So if they attack with both, I can block one with the Den of the Bugbear, and then they'll sack an artifact to their anvil to get a trigger from the Mayhem Devil to finish it off, presumably. I just drew way too many lands this game. Oh, are they're going to sack the treasure as well? Just not even let me block? Okay. Come on, Henrika. Ooh, it is Henrika. And we'll just go into lifelink mode. Doesn't really matter how I block. I'm always going to just sack it and then cat oven to bring it back again. I'm getting a lot of life a turn now. So they're going to deal, I guess they deal 6 this turn, deal more than that now. Go down to 7. Block the Epicure. I think that I actually gain more on the crackback than they're making me lose right now. Because I'm going to be able to plus my Sorin on the Bloodtithe Harvester, and then Henrika will be pumping both my creatures. So I'm going to gain 10 life, assuming I get them to not have a blocker. If they had had a creature back to block, they could have sacked it to Witch's Oven. Oh, they're going to have a creature this way. Yeah. It's not great for me. So I pump this one instead to 5, 7, I go to 9, I've got 2 blockers, I go to 8, maybe double block the Hive, I live. That's good.
Our fiends thirst.
Oh, I got a 9 even. Don't think I'm going to have lethal next turn. I guess they're gaining 2 life a turn at present. Maybe I'll have lethal with the middle ability on Sorin. So if I use Henrika twice, I would deal 7. I can deal 10 damage next turn, potentially. Which is not enough. They're going with the Bugbear this time. So I deal 7 lifelink, I go to 10. I could deal 8 lifelink. Go to 11. Or I can attack for 7, 10. I think it's probably better to just swing with both. And then use the Sorin to throw the Knight of the Even Legion at their face after combat. This means that they aren't forced to use the Witch's Oven. On this thing, no. But with the Hive of the Eye Tyrant next turn, I'm potentially going to be able to have a menacing creature, so they probably won't be able to attack with as much. This has been an interesting game. It'll one. Oh, I'm just trying to draw something. Okay. I can get to 3 life as it stands. If they have a card that kills Henrika, they still don't win. Good job, Henrika. Against this deck, I definitely want all my Kolaghan's commands. That part's easy. Definitely want Meatok Massacre. Those are all the things that stand out. I think I don't really want Thoughtseize. Guess I want Chandra. It's another card that kills Mayhem Devil. I don't have a ton of Fatal Pushes in my deck right now. Probably I don't want these Epicures. Just kind of low impact. They're not going to get to attack for damage in any meaningful way. Their deck is just filled with, you know, ground creatures that are going to easily block them. This seems solid. This hand does not seem solid, though. 1 land is not going to cut it. Alright, that's plenty of lands. I will put Takenuma back in my deck, I guess. I don't think it really matters. Play this Haunted Ridge so that I'm guaranteed to be able to play Bloodtithe Harvester on turn 2. Rather than going like Knight of Legion into nothing. I think it's better to guarantee the 2-drop. Would have worked out better the other way. Their lands are not going to be very cooperative, huh? Mine aren't exactly either. No, my only vampire. Not sporting opponent, not sporting at all.
Mortals never learn.
So I have the blood, which means I can turn the Fatal Push into a card that kills the Mayhem Devil. It'll be interesting to see. If they had just passed, I might have been tempted not to use the blood. I think with them drawing a grip full of cards, I'm going to have to try to dig for something here. I have failed. Greedy. Really greedy. I don't get to cast their Epicure, but they do get to take my Fatal Push. I guess that's something. Oh, I guess they can cast it off the treasure. Let's get rid of the cat while I can. Failure to contain the cat. That is not good for me. I'm just going to get out of control pretty quick. Okay. That was a good one. draw was a good one.
Our feet thirst for life.
Please don't kill my Knight of the Even Legion. No. Another Voltage Surge, so they can kill the Sorin now, right? No, I guess I can't quite kill it. If they have a land, they kill it easily. This isn't an artifact, so they can do 6 to it.
Do not defy aristocracy. Not relent.
Seems like that they spent their turn in a way so they get to use the Castle Locthwain.
I bestow mighty curse.
And we'll get another counter at the end of the turn with Knight of Even Legion, so it'll be 3/4, big enough to block the Den of the Bugbear. Which is a pretty big deal. Can't kill the Sorin. They're willing to sign everything.
I have other obligations.
Gonna make them discard their last card and get back Bloodtithe Harvester, I think. Guess I can get back a Knight of the Even Legion. Probably Bloodtithe Harvester is better. I already have another Knight of the Even Legion in play to spend my mana on. I am putting them back to empty-handed when they have the Castle Locthwain, but I think I have enough of a board that that's not going to matter. I guess were they to draw a Witch's Oven, it would be pretty bad for me. I think I'm just going to save that for next turn. I'll swing out with all these guys instead. I could have taken out the blood and like an Epicure if I'd wanted to, but I think it's better to keep this in my hand to just hedge against them finding an oven. Although now they've blocked with all their creatures, so an oven doesn't even save them. I guess I could go like 1-drop into Castle Locthwain for an oven. Kolaghan's command is so good. I have access to so many of them this turn. Round 3, on the draw. Pretty good hand. I wonder if they're a blue-white control deck. I'm playing against one of those decks. Some sort of Bant deck. No, it's like a Bant bird deck. I don't know what this bird does. That's enough that I'm going to kill it. So this is probably like Bird's Cocoa collected company. I don't know what all the birds they can hit are, but I'm sure there's a bunch of bird lords that they can hit. wonder if there are any good one-drop birds. I guess we'll find out. They could have rattle chains. That might be the kind of bird that would be in this deck. That might only be a spirit. My knowledge of the creature types of the various bird-like creatures is very weak. Oh, they do have rattle chains. This is a spirit. This... Oh, it's just like flying tribal, maybe? Spirits, but they've got this bird too. I think Evelyn's going to be too expensive for this game. This is always the case here. I'm worried about backup rattle chains. This way, if they do have backup rattle chains, at least I'm getting a card out of their hand. I'll be taking damage a little bit too fast. No? Alright. No backup rattle chains. That's good for me. Their hand must have been bad. Didn't see it there. So, Fatal Push seems really strong. They played a white creature, so I think I'm just going to play Ray of Enfeeblement. It hits rattle chains. They probably have some other 1-toughness blue creatures in their deck, and they certainly had some white creatures. I think I made a mistake the first time I got paired against this, like, a blue flying creature deck that I was going down on companies. I certainly don't want Evelyn's. I think I want my Henrikas and my Anjes. So what don't I want? Maybe this is too many K commands, or too expensive, and maybe the Epicures aren't that good. I'm going to board out Epicure in a lot of games. I think it's just one of those cards where it's in my deck because I want to be able to curve out well in game ones, but when you board into a more reactive game plan, you just don't need to have cards like this in your deck, so you just board it out because it's not a card that's like just good on its own. It's a card that has to be part of a general synergy draw, and when you board in a bunch of reactive stuff, or when you get to have a bunch of the right reactive stuff, you just don't need kind of weaker synergy cards anymore. There's not enough lands yet again. Alright, this I'm going to keep. This isn't the worst hand in the world. It's pretty easy to decide to bottom my third copy of Sorin, the Imperious Bloodlord. Alright, so they do have a 1-toughness thing. I kind of want to take this just so they don't curve out because my hand's a little bit clunky. What does this thing do? Battle chains, that's not good for me. My whole plan was to take the Supreme Phantom so that they didn't curve 2-drop into 3-drop into Collected Company, but then they just had that draw anyway. I think I'm going to draw with this turn. They're going to tap it anyway with the Nebelgast, whatever it's called. If I get lucky, I hit a Fatal Push here. Which means next turn I'll be able to go Sorin plus Fatal Push something. I didn't get that lucky. And the Nebelgast Herald's going to make it so I can't really block with Henrika. It would have been nice to draw a card that could kill the Nebelgast Herald.
Darkness will always return.
Company to tap my thing. Flash and Spirit. What we need to happen is Collected Company into bricks. Just Collected Company, no creatures, no spirits, no nothing. I don't think that's what's going to happen, though. Come on, bricks. A Lord and a Shacklegeist. Whoa, why did they play this untapped? I guess they have 2 spirits they're going to flash on, probably. Seems like the most obvious answer. Okay. That actually might be enough to do something. Because if they're going to play... They're going to try to flash in a spirit, I guess I can... No, it's a second Nebelgast Herald. Never mind, I can't survive, right? We tap this... I guess I can Fatal Push this off of the treasure from this. K command, making them discard. Making them discard probably doesn't do anything. Because I think they're just going to flash in a second spirit. But I'm certainly dead if I let them tap both of my creatures, and I can't even Fatal Push the Empyrean Eagle, so I might as well go for it. It failed. I think Mate Hook Massacre is not going to be good against their deck. I could be wrong. It would have been would it have been good that game? It would have been okay. Certainly Ray of Enfeeblement is going to be great. They have a 3-mana 1 toughness creature in their deck. I'd like to have been able to keep 7 cards. This turn. They might be able to kill Sorin if they played 2 untapped spirits. I guess I could also play the Lord. No, I don't have any of that stuff. Let's see what they do have. I think they're going to have Nebelgast Herald. I think that's what they've got. Hopefully I draw a land that comes into play on tap next turn so I can just Thoughtseize them again. Obviously they're going to get to resolve the company, but I'll be getting one of the other lords instead. If that happens. Okay, that didn't happen.
This is but a taste of power.
5 points of lifelink that's a big chunk. And now this thing's going to grow as well. I've only gotten one Nebelgast Herald in the yard, so that it is possible that they company into like some Shacklegeists and Nebelgast Herald and stuff and been able to attack. They half-whiffed. I know this is a really popular strategy to try to kind of play company with 3 drops and tribal stuff, and people try it with all sorts of tribes. I think it just isn't a good strategy. It seems to me like these decks always struggle. Like, they don't do as good as people are expecting them to do, is my point. And it's because company, when you're trying to just be a beatdown deck, I think is too inconsistent and it makes your curve too high. They're going to get the exile in my graveyard here, which will mean that I'm not going to get the gain the life from the lifelink, but my life total is high enough, it's not going to matter. I think that now that I've lost my graveyard, I'm going to get rid of this Bloodthirsty Adversary just in case I draw a tapped land I want to play. Or just an untapped land is fine too. Rattle Chains. Wasn't expecting that one. So they can go block, block. Jump their board away, go to 3. They do kill the Knight of the Ebon Legion, at least. But I don't think they're coming back from this one. I guess they could keep the Eagle. This has Death Touch, so they're killing the Henrika, but at a great cost. Both of their creatures. That was maybe their best block. I don't think they had the way out of it. Maybe their plan is like top deck company into Nebelgast Herald. Top deck Breeding Pool's not going to do it. Alright, get to be on the play. Sadly, I'm going to have to play a Haunted Bridge turn 1, so I'm not going to have access to Fatal Push for like a turn 1 Llanowar Elves. That is a Godless Shrine. This is probably a Greasefang deck if I had to guess. My hand's very good against a Greasefang deck, thankfully. Could still be a Greasefang deck. this? I guess I don't. I'm gonna fatal push the fiend, but I'm gonna do it off the treasure the goblin is trying to make.
Thirst for life.
This has got to be a Greasefang deck if they're playing Taken. Well, obviously now with the Parhelion. If we didn't know before, we know now. Against Greasefang, definitely want my Ray of Enfeeblements. What else do I want? I think I probably want my Fatal Pushes. Fatal Pushes more questionable, certainly, because it's a little bit hard to turn on. I think I don't need these 4-drops. Kinds of feels like I don't quite have enough removal. That's good in this matchup. I don't know that I want all these go blanks. I'm going to try them, though. Feels like I'm making my Sorins pretty bad by boarding like this. This is one of those, when I was going over the deck at the start, I was talking about how the sideboard's kind of a work in progress as I learn more of the format. This experience is showing me that I need to have a better plan here, because I need to play more sideboard games of the matchup to figure out what the plan is, but this doesn't. I don't think that my sideboard is leaving me with a configuration I like, because I don't have enough cards that just kill Greasefang on its own. Like, I just have the 2 Ray of Enfeeblement, so I'm having to rely on the Fatal Pushes, but my deck doesn't have that many ways to trigger Revolt for the Fatal Pushes, especially against turn 3 Greasefang. So that's not good. Should I keep this hand? It's a 1-lander, but it's a 1-lander with 3 1-mana cards. And one of them, I think, is one of my most important cards. And I also have a 2-drop. I think I am going to keep. Certainly with the second Thoughtseize, I think it makes sense to start trying to rip their hand apart rather than trying to, you know, get a little bit of damage in. Like the Knight of the Ebon Legion just doesn't hit hard enough. I'm going to pass. This is kind of a greedy play. I'm going to hope that they draw a white mana, and they, turn 3, just try to play Greasefang. I get to do this, and then I'm going to get to Thoughtseize them, and hopefully take their last good card. So if they got too many good cards, it's going to be a big problem.
Sneak right by, but I'm itching to fight. I've got all kinds of connections.
This hand might still work out, and you can kind of see the power of it. If, like, I feel like I'm probably going to lose this game, but if I had been slightly luckier in drawing a land, I think my hand would have been extremely strong, and I would have won pretty easily. As it stands, probably not, though. Maybe if that's their play, it's just kill that, and I get to kill this Kaido. Potentially lose a little bit of life to get the Knight of the Even Legion in play. Then next turn I'll be able to play Fable the Mirror Breaker, and if they draw a land or two, I might actually be in okay shape. We're still 2 lands off from being able to cast the Parhelion, which that's good news. Oh no. No Greasefang, please. Chart of course. I'll probably be able to Thoughtseize them next turn. Why wouldn't they attack me there? Not sure I understand that. Let's find out what was going on. Maybe the plan is to chump so the Knight of the Even Legion doesn't get a counter? I don't know why they would care that much about that. They did have a Parhelion in their hand. Putting my guy in a hole. I'm gonna Ray of Enfeeblement this almost definitely. Go blanket doesn't do anything. This sets up a 2-turn clock because I attack with 5 this turn and then the Reflection can attack an additional 2 next turn. Meaning they need to try something pretty good. They weren't dead on board, but I could, in their draw step, Reflection Adversary to Thoughtseize them, so I would have killed them over 2 turns unless they drew an instant. This is a strong hand. Oh no, turn 1 Llanowar Elves. Turn 1 Llanowar Elves is just a broken card. What do I want to do? I guess I'm just going to play the Epicure. I'm going to be playing a turn 3 Fable and looting stuff away, but I think I have enough lands that I'm just going to loot away 2 lands probably. Oh no. That is large. I think I want to save my blood for the possibility of Fatal pushing the Steel Leaf Champion. I know that next turn I'm going to cast the Fable, and I know I'm going to use it to get rid of 2 lands, so I don't really need to cash in the blood right away, because I'm guaranteed I'm using 3 of these lands already. 1 that I'm going to play next turn, 2 that I'm going to discard. So the question is, do I really want to spend my mana this turn converting a land into something else? When it's not clear, I might need it as a 4th land. I might need this to get Revolt for the Fatal push. I also might need it just because I might draw a Bloodtithe Harvester next turn, which I would actually cast. Not that good for me. Henrika would be a really strong draw. Just as a 3/4 Death Toucher that could trade with the Steel Leaf Champion. I think I'm priced into double blocking here, just hoping it works. My hand is so weak. Just don't want to take damage. Fall for this. Problematic card? Not really. Wow. That was too many lands in a row. Definitely want Fatal Push. I think this is a matchup where the Predators are good. I don't know that there are many matchups where they're good, but I think this is one. Probably over Anje. I think this is good. They probably have the Great Henge in the deck. Voldaren Epicure seems horrible. I don't know that I need 4 Thoughtseizes. Alright, let's try it like this. Come on, no turn 1, Llanowar Elves. Thought Collector is far more reasonable. Just going to play a strategy to try to exhaust their hand. Given that, like, I have a very good grindy hand. I can go Henrika, draw a card into Bloodthirsty Adversary. This thing is, that's a good card. I wasn't thinking about that. Could be a problem. They have an ability to fight it. If I had had my 5th mana, I might have just turned it into a 3/4 Death Touch already. These don't have Snakeskin Veil type cards. Ram through is fine. That one, they give me this. Does this happen when you target a player? Wait, can I just deal 2 damage to them for free? More Llanowar Elves. They're going to get hit by a lair of the Hydra? Probably not. They're probably going to crack open the Growth Troll. Do not need more lands. I don't really need any more cards to win, so I'm just going to do the safe play. Give myself the 3/4 Flying Death Touch. It's ready to attack for next turn. Can block these Llanowar Elves. Can also block the Lair of the Hydra if necessary. So I play this plus on this. I can swing back for 10, 11, 12. I would certainly be gaining enough life. So they can't ignore Sorin this turn. I think this is good enough.
This is but a hint of my power.
Hi, Sorin, it's dead. So I could Fatal Push a token. Or I could just hit him for 4 in the air and play a Fable and force him to chump block. And gain 4 life. That seems better. I would Fatal Push the token, except they had the Shaper Sanctuary in play, so they're just drawing another card, and I don't really think that I need to open up whatever avenues they would have to win the game if they drew 2 cards instead of just 1. Alright. Wish I had more removal for just big creatures. I think I'm going to cut Evelyn for Anje on the draw at least. Anje can at least block the old growth troll successfully. Might want more Thoughtseizes too on the draw. Probably over one of these Knight of the Even Legions. The Knight of the Even Legion is just too small against their deck. I'm gonna play... Turn 2 Knight of the Ebon Legion, so I can go turn 3 Sorin, put Immerstorm Predator into play, and have a creature that can protect, that I can use to keep the Immerstorm Predator alive. This mono green deck looks good. I used to try playing a deck like this in Historic, and it was kind of underpowered for Historic. But this is a slightly lower power level format. I think it makes a lot of sense here.
Defeating you will not bring me pleasure or pain. Join my crusade.
He did not get obliterated by Ram through. I don't know that there's really a way to avoid it, though. I guess I could just be willing to trade the Predator. And if they have Ram through, it's so bad. I'll just have at me. Do your worst.
Vengeance will come for you one day.
Probably played too scared to talk myself into a loss. They have double ram through. If they have double ram through, it's going to get ugly. Well, it's already ugly. I'll exile that from my graveyard because I know that they have Scavenging Ooze in their deck. If this was a fatal push, I would be in such better shape. That's officially not good for me.
With the wild.
They drew that one.
This will be fun to watch.
I don't think that was an optimal counter distribution. Give the Predator lifelink. It does 7. I go to 14. This is assuming I hit the Vivian. They crack back for 5, 6, 7, 8, 14. $16, right? 5, 6, 7, 8. 14, 16. What else can I do? I could kill the pack leader. That doesn't do anything. Pretty sure I'm just dead.
It's my turn. This'll be easy.
I drink only the finest. Blood calls to your soul.
Anger only gets me so far.
Needed to be on the play this game. I think that I mean, I don't know when they drew the ram through. They definitely had the one ram through this game that I would have gotten blown out if it had been in their hand the one turn I decided to try to play around it. They drew a lot of werewolf pack leaders. Alright, well, I hope you guys enjoyed that deck. I think it's pretty strong. I think I needed slightly better removal spells in the sideboard for that last matchup, certainly, and I think also for the Greasefang matchup. So I think the sideboard needs a little bit of reworking. Here you can see this is the prize I got for playing in one of these events. There's been a lot of talk on Reddit, at least, about how bad of a value these events are, and they are, I think, pretty bad value in general. Like, if you're somebody who doesn't have a very high win rate, you're not going to come out ahead. You're just going to bleed really quickly. And part of the problem, especially for the non-standard events, so either Alchemy, I guess Alchemy doesn't have this problem to such a great extent, but Explorer and Historic, they pay you out in these ancient packs that the value of like a Rivals of Ixalan pack, if you're attempting to play Explorer, is really close to nothing. Dominaria, you could maybe get a few cards you need, but it's just so unlikely you're actually going to get the packs that contain the cards that you're hoping to get to progress your deck or work on whatever you think your next deck is going to be. So like these packs as prizes are just, they're pretty close to worthless. They spin the wild card wheel a little bit, but you just can't get cards that you're actually going to play in Explorer. It's way too unlikely. So for those of you out there wondering if it's worth playing in the events, I would say pretty much it's not. I like playing in the events because I think I can have a high enough win rate that it's worth it for me, but I think for most people it's not. So with that, I'm going to sign off. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.